guys. So as you can see, we finally got some snow here in North Carolina. Dogs are out playing in it a little bit. I want to talk about getting your license, specifically in North Carolina if you're doing heating and air conditioning work. It's something you need to think about doing. I'm 53. I probably should have done this 15 years ago. Something that always ate at me a little bit, and I decided I wanted to give it a shot, and that's what this video is going to be about. It was a miserable day for me, and I'll give you some details on that at the end. I'll let you know if I passed or failed. It was a pretty crappy experience, at least in my case, but we'll talk about that, and we'll cover the books that you need, and what the experiences was like, how to kind of prepare for it, get yourself ready for it, and maybe your experience will turn out better than mine. But at the end of the video, I'll let you know if I passed or failed. I'd rather you not skip ahead to find that out, because there's going to be some useful information here. But anyway, it was something that I'm probably never going to do again. But let's get on with this. We'll start with the books you're going to need if you're going to get your license here, which one you need, the differences between them, what the test day experience is like, and leading up to it, and things like that. So anyway, guys, it snowed a little bit. We got about 1.5 inches, about 6 inches further east, and then, you know, as you get up the other side of Raleigh, about 30 miles north of here, you didn't get a whole lot. But anyway, the dogs are enjoying it. Let's get on with it. All right, guys, so for the test that I took, these are all the books that you have, and this is what you have to take in to the exam with you. You have to furnish them. You're looking at about $1,300 worth of books here. They do not provide them, but you got your mechanical code, fuel gas code, energy code, your administrative codes and policies. You got your residential load, manual J, you got manual N, you got your manual D, your residential ducts, and then you got your manual Q for your commercial, obviously modern refrigeration, and good old ductilator, your NASCALA contractor, your business and law book, and then your particular state's laws and rules book there. Recommend you get this calculator. You can get these at Walmart. They're about $15, $14. This is the one that the same one they give you when you take the test. Unfortunately for me, the one I got had 3 or 4 buttons that kept sticking on it and didn't need any of these other functions. Maybe that's for some of the other tests that they do there. Some people need those scientific things, but a basic calculator would have been perfectly fine, but this is what they give you. So this is what you want to practice with, so that you're used to using it, not getting confused about things like that, searching around, wasting time. But you got to have this ductilator from ACCA, the only one they will allow you to take in there. The prep class that I took was from North Carolina Exam Prep from Technical Training Institute in Raleigh. This is a very, very good prep class to take. This guy has licenses, and he's done exams for years and years from different states in the country for different things, and he does prep and classes for just about any exam that you'd have to take. The book itself has a lot of this stuff you go through when you're in the class. It's a 2-day class on a Saturday and Sunday, about 9 hours, with a 45-minute lunch break. But the back of it, as you can see, is just full of practice questions. Just pages and pages of questions, and it does have the answer key so you can go back and check your work. But all of this section right here is just all practice questions. There's about 250 pages back there. So it breaks it down. You get to 3 practice technical twit tests, practice modern refrigeration, practice laws and rules, 2 business practice tests, and then your H3 practice test. You got an H2 test if you're going to go for that license as well. It's in here. And some practice commercial ducts and mechanical fuel gas code practice questions. And you basically just sit down, you get all these books, and you go through that class, and then he kind of goes through and highlights things in the book, key things, a little bit of highlighting, but you tab all the books. There's the modern refrigeration. You can see all the tabs on that. And I bet I used 2 of those, and you see all those tabs. I probably went to this book for about 5 questions, but probably only used the tabs twice. The key is getting familiar with the table of contents in all these books. That's your best bet to finding things. And doing these practice tests, I will tell you, doing the practice tests gets you in the habit of using the table of contents and being able to look at a question, eliminate the useful or take the useful information in the question, and then all the BS crap they put in there to try to trick you with, and know based on that question which one of these books to go to and get your answer, to save you some time, not fumbling through this one, oh maybe it's in this one. So that's the point of taking a prep class, and this is a good one. So if you're in North Carolina and you're thinking about getting your license, this is probably highly recommended. It was $5.95. It includes this book in a 2-day session, and it's a balls to the wall session. I'll tell you that right now. It's wide open. But these are the books if you're going to get your license in North Carolina. You've got your 3 different licenses basically in here. I'll cover that real quick. You've got your H1, your H2, and you've got your H3. So your H1 is basically going to be your high and low pressure steam, hot water, things like that. Then you've got your H2, which is going to be basically anything in excess of 15 tons. Then your H3, which is light commercial, 1,500 tons and less, residential, light commercial, that thing. If you have an H2, you can't do H3 work. If you have an H3, you can't do H2 work. So you can't have one of these and it cover the other one. So if you're going to do this and then get into some work that involves H2, you got to have somebody that's got that license, or you're not going to do it. Now your H3 breaks down into 2. You've got an H3.1 and an H3.2. H3.1 is the one you want. You get the H3.2, that basically limits you to single family detached dwellings, and that's it. No apartments, no townhouses, or light commercial, or anything like that. So the H3.1 is the one you want. So let's talk about test day and how this experience is going to roll out for you, and how it rolled out for me, and what the results were. All right, guys, let's talk about the test experience. I'm sitting outside. It's about 24 degrees right now. Got some coffee, airborne all the way, but it's not going to stay hot out there very long. The test experience is, so how mine started out is I've been practicing for about 2 months. Started in November. I took the prep class. Doing the practice tests, you don't want to do too much at one time. You want to do about an hour, hour and a half at a time. Maybe at night, hour and a half, and that's it. Saturday and Sundays on the weekends, maybe do morning, afternoon, night, however you want to do that, a little bit more. But you get brain locked, and you can only sit there and look at it for so long. So it's a gradual process of getting ready. But I had a doctor's appointment Thursday, and my test was this past Tuesday. I took Monday off and Tuesday, 4-day weekend, 3 days to prep, day to take the test. Sunday morning, I woke up with one of the worst colds that I've ever had. Congested, runny nose, coughing, sneezing, all that mess, everything that you didn't want. I was like, you've got to be kidding me that I'm dealing with this. So I didn't do anything Sunday except take medicine and try to sleep and drink fluids and Monday I felt a little bit better. I did some practicing Monday morning, enjoyed the inauguration festivities, and a little bit of practicing that afternoon, and then Monday night I just went to bed. Tuesday I got up to go up there to take the test, felt better, I had to be there at 10 o'clock. But you can't take anything in there at all. Nothing. It's just you, the clothes you're wearing, and your books basically. Keys go in a bag. You bring in your ID card for identification, and that's it. Luckily she was able to let me have some tissues there, because the ones I brought, had to leave them in my bag, couldn't use them. So she had some tissues on her desk, gave them to me, and Hall's cough drop she let me take in there. So I get in there, my nose is raw from blowing it, so I'm not feeling at all up to 5.5 hours of straight testing, because once you start, you go straight through on both tests. 50 questions, hour and a half business test, and 100 questions basically on your technical test, 4 hours. No break in between. So if you're going to go to use the restroom, you only get 5 minutes. You have to sign out, and then there's a guy on the four-wheeler out there on the snow in the road. But and you sign back in. They check you before you go back in, make sure you didn't hide something in the bathroom when you got there or something, I guess. You take nothing in there. They inspect all your books. Nothing can be marked. You can have highlighting in your tabs, and that's it. You can't have any scratch notes, nothing in the books. They'll disqualify you. So I sit down, start taking the business portion. I'm feeling okay, but I'm not, my head's still. So I get about 15 minutes into business class, and I notice I'm not seeing anything close to what I saw on the practice questions. And I'm finding out that the purpose of that was to get you used to being able to reference, use the table of contents, know which book to identify quickly, go to it, and then use your table of contents, go find your answer. So if you're thinking you can do the practice tests over and over again, and then 50-60% of the questions are repeat questions that you remember the answer, you still have to find the stuff. The load questions, all the information, they'll have 4 or 5 lines in a question, and maybe 60% of that is just information that has nothing to do with what you need to get out of the question to get the answer they're asking for. So you got to look out for that stuff. So I get through that. I finish the business test. I've got about 11 minutes left. So instead of ending the test, I take that last 11 minutes. I go to the restroom, because you have to do it while you're in test. You can't do it between tests. So the clock's counting when you go to the bathroom. You're losing time. So I run down here real quick, go to the restroom, get a little bit of water, walk the hallway a minute, stretch my knees, come back in, finish that one, start the trade test. I get about 20 minutes into that one, and the same thing. The questions are nowhere close to resembling the practice questions, but you're picking up on, okay, I know what book at least to go to. So now you use your table of contents, you break it down, you go in, and you answer your questions, and you find your answers. So I get about 2 hours into that one, and I'm starting to feel a little bit better physically as far as the cold goes. Hungry as all get out, because I didn't eat anything. I had a protein bar because my appetite was crap. So now I'm hungry, but I had to go to the bathroom. The water I drank, the coffee I had that morning. So I get up, I go back to the restroom, check back in, 5 minutes to go. When I go to go back in, this time now they got a wand, metal detector too. She asked me to empty my pockets this time. She didn't ask me that the first time, so I emptied my pockets, and my driver's license is in my pocket. She says, why is that in your pocket? That's not allowed in the test room. If you've got caught with anything in there, they come in and look over your shoulder. There's a camera above you while you're taking the test. If you get caught with anything in there, they can wipe the slate clean right there and say, oh, sorry, you're disqualified. Stop your test. And now you've got to go through the whole application process all over again. Pay for all that mess. So I explained to her, I said, well, when I got here, she asked me for this to verify my ID when I got here. And then she handed it back to me, but she put my keys in the bag. I assumed if she wanted that in the bag, she'd have stuck that in there too. But she gave it back to me. So the girl's sitting there looking at me, and she's like, yeah, I gave it back to him. So she takes it, she puts it in her drawer. She said, okay, I'm going to keep this till you're finished. So she let me back in. So that rubbed me the wrong way a little bit. You know, my driver's license does not have any HVAC information at all on it. Nothing that's going to help me pass this test. But you can't have it in there. So it was just one of those things. So I finished that and got to the end of that test. I had about 15 or so minutes left. Went back and rescanned the questions a little bit just to see if it was something I wanted to, you know, they tell you don't second guess, go with your first choice, don't try to get, if you second guess yourself, you know. So it's one of those things, guys. And so I come out, and one of the other guys I work with, he took his test back in December. He passed it, and I remember him telling me, yeah, when I walked out, she handed me my sheet and told me I passed. She didn't do that with me. She printed mine off, laid it face down on the table, said, "You're all finished, you can leave." And then that was it. So I just picked it up and folded it, didn't look at it. I stuck it in my bag, got my books, got in the truck and came home. And the whole way home, I was like, "You gotta be," because I wasn't feeling good, wasn't sure. You know, I felt good about a lot of it, but I just wasn't up to it physically. To go through that for 2 months and then get sick 2 days before the test and not be able to do final prep. And so I get home, bring everything in, don't open anything. I'm just drinking coffee, like, you know, just going back through everything. Like, what in the, you know, Jesus, you thinking about questions and second guessing answers that I gave. Like, no, maybe that wasn't the right one. It's just, and so I finally sit down, I take the papers out and I lay them face down. Still haven't looked at them yet. I go get a blank sheet of paper, put it under it, and I flip it over. And I start sliding it down one line at a time until I see where it tells you whether you passed or failed on each test. Did the business one first, did the trade test second. So if you want to know if I passed or failed, guys, preparing and practicing is key. Not getting sick 2 days before your test is very key. Losing prep time. You have to concentrate on what you're doing. So the results are here, and if you look at that, I passed the business and law test, and I passed the H3-1 test right there. I will never take another test again in my life. That's the only one I need. And I will gladly spend $150 a year to renew that, to not have to take that test again if you let your license lapse. Here it's 3 years. If you let it lapse longer than 3 years, you have to retake it. In the first to third year, if you go back to renew it, you just back pay them for what you owe for the year or whatever, a half that you let it, whatever it is. But yeah, guys, that was not a fun experience to sit there for 6 straight hours, sick, praying to God that I'll pass this test. But I did. So what I do with it, I don't know, but it's mine and it's my option. So, you know, you can be a guy running around changing capacitors. You don't have to have a license in North Carolina for that. To replace a heat exchanger, you do, because you risk causing an issue with carbon monoxide to the occupant. So you can't change a heat exchanger on a unit without a license. Minor repairs. If you want to be chucking a truck, you know, you'll be around lowballing and not offering your homeowners any reassurance that you actually know what you're doing. And the license is to protect them as a consumer. If you pay somebody that doesn't have a license to come out and work on your unit and they screw your stuff up, it's you, a lawyer, in a courtroom, and you trying to do what you can do. The state can bar them from getting their license, but they can't step in and enforce them to, hey, go back and make this right, or we're going to take your license if you have a license. So there's a purpose for using people that have licenses to do your work, and not chucking a truck with a box of capacitors and a couple of motors, and hoping when he goes out there he doesn't blow your compressor up, and then try to tell you, oh, now you need a new compressor, and hit you up for another $2,000-3,000 on that when it was his fault, and then there's nothing you can do because he's not licensed. So that's the point, guys. Anyway, it's done, it's over with. Should have done it 15 years ago, but I'm happy I did, and it is what it is. Anyway, see you on the next one. So this is what I like about getting a dry snow. That's the M12, but I can get out here and just blow it off, except where I've already walked at.